This is an explanation for how American citizenship is defined. Who is a citizen of the United States, and how do you gain or lose your citizenship? So, first, I want you to take time and try to figure out where is citizenship actually located in the Constitution. So, pause here, go look. Hopefully, you looked and you found it. This is one of those things that I think is really interesting because your founding fathers didn't put it in the original Constitution. Who is a citizen of the United States wasn't added until the 14th Amendment. If you look at the very first section of the 14th Amendment, it says a person is a citizen. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So I've always been tickled that in their mind, it was, I think, natural for them to understand who is actually a citizen of the United States of America. And as you know, the 14th Amendment was one of the Civil War amendments, which gave citizenship to African Americans. So let's really look at being born or naturalized. So the Constitution says a person is born, and the legislative branch has defined what does it mean to be born in the United States. So the United States is unique compared to other countries because most countries citizenship is through the blood. Okay. So I have two Latin terms here for you to look at: jus soli and jus sanguinis. Jus sanguinis is by the blood. And my Espanol speakers would know what sangre is because that means blood. So, by the blood, that's a Latin word for you are a citizen if you have blood of a U.S. citizen parent in you. The other way to be born a U.S. citizen is jus soli, and not all countries have jus soli. Jus soli, jus means by the, soli means soil. So if you are born on United States soil or a territory of the United States, then you are an automatic U.S. citizen. So you can be born a U.S. citizen if you are born by the blood or if you are born by the soil. So if I had a child in France, is that child a U.S. citizen? First thing you have to ask me is, are you a citizen? Well, yes, I am. I'm a U.S. citizen. So, because my blood is U.S. citizenship, jus sanguinis, my child, wherever they are born in this world or universe, is a U.S. citizen. The second way to be a U.S. citizen is what we call naturalization. Naturalization has four components to it. A person has to be able to read, write, and speak English. A person has to know U.S. government and U.S. history and pass a test. And a person has residency requirements. 5 years, if you are single, you have to prove you have lived in the United States. And 3 years, if you are married to a U.S. citizen, you have to prove you have lived in the United States. Now, those first three requirements to get your naturalization are very objective. You can take a test to prove you know English. You can take a test to prove you know your government and history. And you can show that, yes, I have physically lived in the United States for the required time. The last component is subjective, good moral character. So, this is usually aimed at countries that we might be at war with, or countries that we're having political issues with. It doesn't mean if a person like from Iran is automatically excluded from U.S. citizenship. It just that means those people are closely scrutinized to figure out why they actually want their U.S. citizenship. Now, make sure that you don't group those people who are seeking political asylum in that same category. So, those are the two ways to become a U.S. citizenship. You are born or naturalized. In the naturalization process, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about the U.S. citizenship test. When you go to become a U.S. citizen, you have to pass your English speaking and writing test. You have to pass your government and history test. You have a series of questions you have to answer to check for your good moral character, as well as to prove your residency requirements. So, how can you lose your U.S. citizenship? Well, if you commit treason, that is a crime against the United States. Even though the social contract theory says you have a right to revolt, you can't commit treason. It's illegal in the United States of America. You can expatriate yourself. That means give up your citizenship. Tom Hanks, American actor, he's no longer an American actor. He gave up his United States citizenship. So you can say, I no longer want to be a countryman or a countrywoman for this country. If you actively fight against the United States, during the Afghanistan war, the Iraq war, there were some people who were from the United States, had U.S. citizenship, and decided they were going to fight for the Taliban in Afghanistan, or they were going to fight with Iraq, the Islamic Brotherhood. Well, that's fighting against the United States, and those people lost their citizenship. Some of the men fighting in the Afghanistan war, Afghanis, or in the Iraq war, who were with the Taliban or with the Islamic State, they got online and found American brides, American women to become their brides. Those women went over to the United States or to Afghanistan, Iraq, and later decided they wanted to come back to the United States. Well, they fought against the United States. They lost their U.S. citizenship. They did not get to come back to the USA. If you vote in a foreign election, you lose your citizenship. Okay. So those are four ways that you can lose your United States citizenship.